A blessed good morning to you. It is my prayer that the Lord will help you and sustain you as you advance in this week. We're going to continue to look at the book of John, and I'm hoping that you had the opportunity to read at least up to chapter 5. If you have not, be encouraged to do so. Let us get to know Jesus together. Now today we're going to look at chapter 6, and I'm going to read from verses 5 to verse 12. Jesus soon saw a huge crowd of people coming to look for him. Turning to Philip, he asked, "Where can we buy bread to feed all these people?" He was testing Philip, for he already knew what he was going to do. Philip replied, "Even if we worked for months, we wouldn't have enough money to feed them." Then Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, spoke up. "There's a young boy here with 5 barley loaves and 2 fish. But what good is that with this huge crowd?" "Tell everyone to sit down," Jesus said. So they all sat down on the grassy slopes. The men alone numbered about 5,000. Then Jesus took the loaves, gave thanks to God, and distributed them to the people. Afterwards, he did the same with the fish, and they all ate as much as they wanted. After everyone was full, Jesus told the disciples, "Now gather the leftovers so that nothing is wasted." The feeding of the 5,000 and more is a very popular miracle that Jesus performed. And I particularly like that Jesus asked Philip where they will get the bread from. He already knew what he was going to do. And how often do we come face to face with Jesus and there's certain questions that are there in our mind, but God already knows exactly what we're going to say. He already knows what he is going to do. But it's just a testing that we are going through to see if what he has taught us, if we are applying it, and if we have assimilated the message, and if we are adequately applying it to our lives. So very often persons will say, "But what can this do? How can this feed all of these people?" That is what the disciples were basically saying. Yeah, we have 2 fish and 5 barley loaves, but how is this going to feed over 5,000 people? And that's a fair question, because how would it? But it only can when it's in the hands of the Master, in the hands of Jesus. And that is for us a lesson for us to learn about who Jesus is. He is our provider. So when you look at your life, you may see that there's a lack. There's something that you need that's not there. But God said that he will supply all of our need according to his riches in glory. God already has the provision for us, and we only need to trust him. So we don't have to ask what the disciples ask or say what they say, but how is this going to work? But we only need to look to Jesus. And Jesus took that food, the bread and the fish, and he gave thanks. That's another lesson for us. Give thanks. Give thanks for what little you have. Be thankful, be grateful, and trust God to supply you with all of what you need. Now, another nugget that we can grasp from this story is that Jesus said to the disciples to collect the leftovers so that nothing is wasted. I grew up hearing, "Waste not, want not." We are not to waste the resources that Jesus gives to us, that God gives to us, because we will be left wanting. So we're to be good stewards over what Jesus gives us, what the Lord has blessed us with. And so I believe that as the disciples collected the leftovers, there were 12 baskets left, and there are 12 disciples that they came face to face with that miracle that Jesus performed, so that it's resonated in their minds and in their hearts, the power that Jesus possessed, so as to build their faith. Now later in this story, as you read on, the persons who were fed, they followed Jesus, and when they inquired, "Where were you, Rabbi?" He said to them, "You are only following me because I fed you." And he encouraged them, do not just follow me, or do not just focus on the material things, but instead focus on God. And that is a message for us as well. Yes, Jesus would help us. He would provide for us. He will supply all of our needs, but we're not to just worship him because of that he's given. So in essence, we're not to worship his hands, okay, but instead to seek his heart. Don't just worship him because he's given, but truly commit yourself to the Lord. And as John 4:24 tells us, they that worship must worship in spirit and in truth. God will provide for us, but let our response be a response of worship and praise and blessing to him and obedience to him, living a life that is pleasing and acceptable unto him always. God bless you. We'll continue tomorrow.